On January 20th, 1969, Richard Nixon was inaugurated president. The environment hadn't been an issue in the 1968 campaign, but he mentioned it briefly in his inaugural address.
In protecting our environment, enhancing the quality of life, and all these and more, we will and must press urgently forward.
Suddenly, 8 days later, on January 28, 1969, the environment became a very big issue. A blowout on an oil rig in the Santa Barbara Channel started a spill that precipitated an environmental catastrophe. 3 million gallons of crude oil polluted the ocean and created a slick that devastated 35 miles of the California coast. Inspecting the damage, the new president said, "I don't think we have paid enough attention to this. We are going to do a better job than we have done in the past." With the environment, he chose the smartest and most dedicated aides and advisors, told them to do the right thing, and promised them his support.
Tell me what your priorities are. And I said, my number one priority, Mr. President, is to ban 1080, the terrible poison 1080, which was used to kill coyotes all over the West. And he said, you know, my wife has told me about this terrible poison. If you can write an environmental impact statement that will hold up in court, I'll do it. I won't make any friends in the Rocky Mountain West, but I'll do it.
In his first State of the Union message, delivered on January 22, 1970, he identified the environment as the defining issue of the new decade.
The great question of the 70s is, shall we surrender to our surroundings, or shall we make our peace with nature and begin to make reparations for the damage we have done to our air, to our land, and to our water?
The President and First Lady marked the first Earth Day, April 20th, 1970, by planting a tree in the south lawn of the White House. On July 9th, he proposed creating an Environmental Protection Agency to consolidate responsibility and accountability for the dozens of federal programs spread over several agencies and departments. 50 years ago, on December 2nd, 1970, he signed the executive order that created the EPA. Determined to make a difference, President Nixon kept up a steady stream of bills and executive actions. The Democrats opposed many, and the Republicans weren't always enthusiastic.
18 of the major environmental proposals which I put forward a year ago has still not received final action by the Congress. I repeat today my urgent request for congressional action on this much-needed legislation. And I am also presenting a number of new proposals. These problems will not stand still for politics or for partisanship. They demand to be met now.
Because of his determined leadership, and because the issue was of national concern, President Nixon was able to create a record and leave a legacy of environmental breakthroughs and milestones that still shapes our world today.
President Nixon was visionary on this. There's just no question about it. The first president to set aside public lands was Abraham Lincoln. We know what Teddy Roosevelt did with the national parks. And then you have Richard Nixon, who not only established EPA, but if you think about the Clean Water Act and the Safe Drinking Water Act, all the things that were part of that were NEPA, the things that he implemented are extraordinary and far-reaching. We are the beneficiaries of his commitment.
His transformational environmental legacy includes creating EPA, reducing emissions from cars and diesel engines, removing lead from gasoline and paint, protecting wetlands from development, eliminating use of destructive pesticides, cleaning up polluted sites, prohibiting ocean dumping, remediating cancer-causing asbestos, reducing acid rain, creating and promoting the Energy Star program. And his environmental legacy lives on today because of the Council on Environmental Quality, the Clean Water Act, the Clean Water Drinking Act, the Clean Air Act, the Endangered Species Act, the Marine Mammal Protection Act, creation of NOAA and hurricane tracking, the Federal Environmental Pesticides Control Act. A poll of 12 leading environmental groups, including Friends of the Earth, the Sierra Club, Greenpeace, the Natural Resources Defense Council, and Ralph Nader's Public Citizen, named Richard Nixon the second greenest president in U.S. history, second only to Theodore Roosevelt. Russell Train, the second EPA administrator and president of the World Wildlife Fund, wrote, "Environmental protection represented without doubt in my mind the single most significant area of domestic policy accomplishment of the Nixon administration." In large part, the results of the Nixon initiatives remain in place today and form the foundation for the country's ongoing environmental programs.